There it was everywhere, attached to every desk, connected to every computer. The thing, the monster from his dream, except everybody in the office was one. And he understood it. It was the human form, twisted, degraded, alienated from itself, the human form in a strange knot, made into the face of some kind of monster. Limbs bent, skin folded, bones contorted. Let me smile through you, let me give my proclamation to this world. Thou art mine organs, thou art mine engines. It seemed to use their spines and their heads like a tongue. There was something here, but it had no body. It had no presence of its own, just what they had foolishly lent it. Khakis had a vision of them all, no longer in the office, but holding up a tower, holding up the pegs around that monster's face. And then he had a vision of them all, standing up straight, unwinding their posture, and the whole face broke apart into pieces that were never its own, into parts that were never its body. That's it then. That's what I have to do. If they stand up, it falls down. Go on then. Stand. Stand, all of you. But they could not hear him. Stand, damn it, stand! Blisters of servility, short breath like the spasms of feelers on a vermin's back. Sedentary bodies, blood like pus, you traitors! Had you not acquiesced, my rebellion would be less painful, less likely tragic. Ah, now they answered. You misunderstand. We fell that your fall might be less painful, less tragic. For we all fall in life, but defeat's misery loves company. Defeat's misery is sweetest in company. They spoke in a wheezing unison. He would not have listened out for it as a human language had he not heard it coming from this place. And they spoke from genderless bodies, and his own, he saw now, was growing atrophied. He ran to his desk and saw himself there, sleeping. He stepped into his body and awoke. Of course, they didn't hear me. I was asleep somehow. I was dreaming. He stood up and proclaimed loudly that he would not return, that he was now finished with all of this. A few people looked up. A few people sighed and continued their work. Others used the occasion to walk over to the water cooler and pour themselves a glass. As he left, his grandiose sense of self-importance at having quit in so public a manner began to chemically react with the air and turned into shame. Who was he? Why did it matter? His incapacity to live a life of quiet desperation, quiet dignity, of consummate quotidian heroism was nothing to be celebrated. He was a wretch, a petulant child in love with wandering stars and storms. He was mud from outside the city, feral clay. Well then, he would make it a thing to behold. Off he went, and Clara, who had seen him from her desk, she got up with him. She left with him. Together to that strange god dressed in forest, to that priest and pagan apparition. And he knocked on his door, and he was let in, and he spoke his piece. So I figured it out. Oh? Yeah. It was just people. People bent out of shape. Nothing worse than the best corrupted. It didn't make any difference when I left. They didn't look up. The face didn't crumble. In fact, I'm starting to think this was all some temporary insanity. or something. Why do you suppose it made no difference? It was nothing. It was a big idea. It was a big, dramatic show. It was a tiny bleep on the radar of people who have better things to get on with. Oh, yes. More important things than the lashing out of some kid, at least. And yet you've done your share of growing up today. You've learned something. Most people only ever have tiny gestures to follow after big truths. But so long as you don't give up on finding those big truths and expressing them through those tiny gestures, this human project of yours might not fail. Well now, off you go, Sebastian. Take your Clara and your newfound clarity and figure it out from here. And aren't you happy that you don't have to wear that ridiculous uniform and those khaki slacks anymore?